I just got involved in all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Sewage treatment plant. New sludge. And so it's really dry. It's a pilot program first in the state of Pennsylvania. There was a tour and presentation last week, week before. I think it was a week before. For the facility, where we've written comments for the Delaware River keep going. In the meantime, I've talked to John, Brendan. I used to be on the school building. I was on the authority for 12 years. I quit when I got pissed at John for the authority for, it involved accepting the check from the landfill at the sewage treatment. But he may recommend, he may recommend
No, I do when I really need to. I go low when I have to. Believe me, I'm not happy about it.
I didn't really unless you guys all got
3 weeks ago, we're at the tab. I got contacts all the time.
Vacancy becomes because
wherever he's turned we're at the having drinks with Danielle, Bill, and we're hanging out. Bill comes out. I'm like, sure, this. The joke throws me your glasses. I put them on real quick. Crystal clear. I'm like, oh no.
You got your readers number? That's what happens when you have left.
I'm 50.
I know, well, you have that long in the books.
We just made up. I know more about the operation of water and sewer plants. Sure, I was a licensed water treatment plant operator. I was born out of arranged tours down there. It's what I don't like about it. I used to work in I'm forced to retire, but I haven't given up the idea. But that's why I was getting involved in it. Just to, at the time, someone's got to do it, might as well stay busy and learn about what's going on.
Oh, Bob Hart was all
Be part of it.
Yeah. So I just thought.
Doing pretty good. How are you doing? Hanging in there.
Thank
All
you.
you can do, right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, Bob, I just got elected to the council, so.
Coming to
the meeting last year, very much interested, just like I
All right, we're about to begin. We're about to begin. Everybody here? Who's missing? Oh, Eileen's on the phone. Okay. Are we ready? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Morrisville Borough Council Agenda Meeting. We will call to order the agenda meeting of the Morrisville Borough Council on December 10th, 2019. If you could all please tonight, when we rise for a moment of silence, if we could please remember the victims of the massive shooting today in Jersey City. You've all seen it. It's horrific. A police officer was killed. One is in the hospital. 6, I believe, innocent bystanders were also injured in that. So it's horrific. So please remember them in your thoughts and prayers. We'll do a moment of silence for them and then our pledge, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay.
Eileen, we're hearing you. Are you hearing us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call. Eileen, all right, hon?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bowers. Here. Mrs. Dreisbach.
Here.
Ms. Chronicle.
Here.
Mrs. Larison.
Here.
Mr. Ney.
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Yeager.
Here.
Thank you. Tonight, we had a presentation at 6 o'clock from the Redevelopment Authority, and the Executive Director, Jeff DeWark, is still here. And we will first talk about this, since we can then let the poor guy go after this. If the council has any questions they would like to ask him about this that we will be voting on. So this is your chance to ask him any further questions, because I know some are just now arriving to the meeting. Jeff, would you like to come to the podium, please?
Thanks again. It's always a pleasure to be back in Morrisville Borough. Madam President, as you mentioned, at 6 p.m. we had our public hearing for the Morrisville Town Center redevelopment area plan amendment and proposal. I think most everybody in this room attended and heard the longer presentation, and therefore I will be very brief to summarize the steps that we've taken and where we're going. So to back up a little bit, in 2004, the borough established a certified redevelopment area for a larger portion of the borough because those portions, majority of those portions met the criteria for blight under the Pennsylvania Urban Redevelopment Law. Subsequent to that, the borough, working with a committee of volunteers, the Redevelopment Authority in the county, honed in on certain areas and developed under the redevelopment law what are called redevelopment area plans. And there was two of those developed. One was adopted in 2005, which was called the Riverview Redevelopment Area Plan. And then in 2006, the Morrisville Town Center Redevelopment Area Plan. The public hearing today was regarding the Morrisville Town Center Redevelopment Area Plan, and basically, very simply, just amending the boundaries of that plan to include parcels on the easterly side of Pennsylvania Avenue, specifically the parcels that comprise the Stockton Building and the borough-owned parking lot that's adjacent to that, which weren't included in the original plan adopted in 2006. So we presented that at the public hearing as required under the Act. We had made packages publicly available at the Morrisville Library, Borough Hall here, and the Redevelopment Authority. And 6 o'clock we had the presentation. I'm here today to just give you this brief update and ask for the council's consideration for a resolution approving the amendment to the redevelopment area plan and proposal. From there, and I believe that'll be considered at your next meeting on Monday next week, we will take it to the county commissioners for approval. And then assuming that goes through to our board, my board, the Redevelopment Authority Board for approval, likely at our January meeting. So that's the very Cliff Notes version of that. I'd be happy to answer any outstanding or lingering questions from the public hearing.
Jeff, I just wanted to point out that the presentation is on our website under the public portal as well, if people want to view it.
So Jeff, you said that after the commissioners vote on this, then your board votes, you said in January, is when you have your meeting for it?
That's when we would target. Yeah, my board
Okay.
approval.
Okay. And then that's the final step at that point for these voting processes, correct?
For this particular element, that'll wrap it up.
Finalize it, okay.
Correct.
And then after that, hopefully it's a go to do something with that building. Anyone have any other questions they'd like to ask? We probably asked you questions ad nauseum during that first 45 minutes, so I don't have any more. Just want to thank you and your staff, and the Bucks County Commissioners have been wonderful, and Margie's been wonderful helping with all that to get us to this point. So I think this is great. We're doing something with that building. I think the residents will be thrilled.
Great.
Anyone else? Okay. Thanks, Jeff, for coming out. Appreciate it very much. If you need anything else, please let us know.
And likewise, if there's any questions, feel free to call me or stop in my office.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Good night. Okay, we'll move on to the next part of our meeting. Is public comment? Was there anyone signed up?
No.
Okay, I think because they probably asked at the earlier meeting. Okay, then I will close public comment since there isn't anyone. The council will be getting in their packet, you probably already did get them, I'm sorry. You will have your minutes to approve for next week for November 7th and November 12th. If you didn't get them, please let the office know. Review them. If there's any changes that need to take place, also let them know so they can do that before the meeting. Moving on to the finance, you'll get your treasurer's report, which is the your financials statement, and in that, of course, you can take a look at that. If you need anything, please contact Mike or Scott about it. And your bill list will be coming out this week, too. So same thing, review it. If there's anything you need to ask questions about, please contact the office. We don't have the mayor here tonight, and no council, junior council.
We will have a new junior council person joining us.
I was going to ask you, when is that?
The next meeting, I believe.
Correct.
Yes.
So it's Monday?
Yes, Monday's meeting.
Do we have the name of that person? They be in,
Yes.
could we have it?
Victoria Sullivan.
Victoria Sullivan. Thank you. Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the action items. 9A was the adoption of the 2020 salary schedule. Everyone got that in their packet this past week, the most recent one. Anyone have any questions they want to ask about it? No? Okay. Move on to 9B, a motion to adopt the 2020 final budget. Any questions on that? No? Okay. 9C, call for a motion would be to adopt the 2020 tax levy ordinance, which is, of course, to set the tax millage. Get that every year with your budget. Any questions? No? Okay. 9D, call for a motion to adopt a resolution amending the boundaries of the Morrisville Town Center redevelopment area plan and adopting the redevelopment proposal prepared by the Redevelopment Authority of Bucks County, which of course is what Jeff was talking about tonight. You got that in your packet. I don't believe there's any other questions on that one.
No, can I make a recommendation though, and
Sure.
stop me if you think I'm wrong?
Sure.
Could we put that first? So since Jeff will be here, we won't be tying him up if other conversations ensue.
Jeff won't be here
He won't
Monday.
Oh, he won't be here? I thought he
Yeah.
said he was coming on Monday.
No,
Okay,
he has another
fine.
meeting he has to be at. That's
Fair enough.
why he was here to answer questions tonight.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. 9E then would be the motion is to adopt the ordinance amending the certain C1 district provisions of the zoning ordinance per the recommendations of the Morrisville Borough Planning Commission and the Bucks County Planning Commission.
Yeah, if I may, Madam President, you might remember this was on your agenda last month. You did approve this.
Right.
What we're bringing to you are minor revisions that weren't in the, it's just a part two, basically, of what you've already approved. Yeah, three very minor revisions that have also been approved by our planning commission, the county planning commission, and now they're ready for your approval, and they were distributed to council previously.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on these? You did get them in your packet. I looked them over. I mean, I could read the section of what it is. No?
Read it.
Do you want me to read this portion of it?
No need.
Okay. Okay, 9F is a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the grant application to the PA Small Water and Sewer Program through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for $47,008 towards the improvement of the Melvin Avenue Basin and authorize the appropriate borough officials to execute the necessary documents.
Actually, that's a previous version of the agenda. The latest version, the amount is $122,007.95.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine. That's something
wait a minute.
different.
Okay, so
Got to
I
have that $7.95. It's like a,
Well, we want the basin
gotta
done
have a
right, so
hoagie
yes.
as part of
so-
the.
Okay, so wait, so this here, we don't need this? This is the same thing, except we're eliminating this? This is it here? Hold on.
Yeah, they're for the same amount. It's for two different funding sources.
Got it.
This is the PA small water, and this one over here is the growing greener.
So Scott, on that, and I looked through it, I don't remember the answer to my own question, so once you say it, I'll probably remember. Is there a match for this? And if so, are we using the money that we previously got for the other grant to offset the match?
I think this is what, if I remember, the engineer was looking to get a grant that would match the other one because we didn't have enough.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah, there was like a $60,000 shortfall. Yes.
Right, and he was looking for other funding that
Yes.
could cross with it because of that fact. And this is something that we have to do for our MS4 regulations. And like I said, I think we had, maybe a year and a half, 2 years to use that grant that we got.
We're a year into it.
Yes,
We
we
are
have
on a
the time.
timeline to spend it, or we have to give it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my question is, on this 122, is there a match? And if so, are we pulling from the other grant to provide that match?
Well, we couldn't pull from the other grant to provide the
Sometimes they
match.
do layer, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
well, we are hoping that we get at least one, if not both of these. That way we can stack them, as the president said. I don't require off the top of my head if either of these have a match requirement.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the resolution,
All right, thank you.
which is in your packet.
I know, I looked at it, I just don't remember the answer to my question. I'll go back and look at it.
So the engineer basically is just going for the same amount of two different
Yes.
funding
Two
sources
different
to
funding
see.
sources, yeah.
Now, maybe this is a dumb question to answer. With the Growing Green and the Commonwealth Financing Authority, and they can be the exact same amount, can they do that?
Well, they're both through the CFA. One's
Right.
the PA Small Water and Sewer, which also includes stormwater. And the second one is through the Growing Greener.
So they're basically just separate pots of money
Yes,
per whatever that
within
program is.
CFA, yeah.
And just see if we could hit either one of them or maybe both.
Yeah, we would love to hit the lottery and get both. But even if we only got one, it'll suit our needs.
Yes.
It'll take care of that, which needs to get done.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear all that, Eileen?
Yes, I can. Thank
Okay, you have any questions on it?
you. No.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of 9G also, since I messed that up. Sorry about that. Is there any other questions on those grants and what they're for? I think everyone understands what we're trying to do with that basin that needs done. 9H is the motion to approve the payment for the Capital Health as the final payment for the EMS fund as of 12/31/19. We'll have that number plugged in for the meeting. I don't think anybody has any questions. That's something routinely we do. The other one is for the fire company, which is 9I. Same thing, approved payment of the amount, which will be plugged in for Monday's meeting. The Morrisville Fire Company, it's the final payment per the fire fund, excuse me, as of 12/31/19. The last one is the appointments and boards. The ones that are listed here, Scott said he put these on here just to let everyone know what ones are coming up. Some we can't vote on, but we're just put it out there so that we know which ones are coming up. Some we can vote on.
All that are bullet pointed, if I may, have or are being advertised.
Right.
Because we have either vacancies or we're going to have
Going to have
vacancies in the near
vacancies.
term.
Correct.
Which ones are coming off of December's agenda?
The municipal authority one.
Okay.
Okay. The EDC is in the third week of January, so that comes off.
Okay.
But there's two positions, I believe, available for that. Let me pull my notes up here. Yeah, I think there's two. You can vote on the Environmental Advisory Council. Those are two available, 12/19/19. I don't believe we have any letters in for that yet of interest. I was going to ask the attorney, the zoning board one, that's 1/5/20. Should that be something we do, or is the next, okay,
You have to wait till the vacancy.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so that one will come off, but that'll be available. No, the zoning one, you're not going to do. Yeah. The Planning Commission, yes, that expires in December. It's 12/19. We have two letters that were brought in for that. And the Civil Service, there's alternate, I'm sorry,
When is the term expire?
the 19th, 12/19.
Meeting.
You can't prospectively,
Oh,
you can't do that.
oh,
If you had a special meeting, Christmas week, you could do it.
okay, so they have to all be before.
Yes, yeah.
What
So the only one is,
happened? I don't know if it's on or not.
The vacancy doesn't exist until the
Vacancy,
term
yeah,
expires.
what happened was, there was some confusing. The statute, there was a famous case around 1970 that said when a vacancy became, or when it was about to become, although the court said it's terrible public policy to do, it was legal. The legislature then amended the statute so that the ambiguity doesn't exist in most areas. So you have to wait for the term to be expired, and then you can appoint anybody you want at that point.
Okay.
That fair?
Yep.
Okay.
okay,
Planning Commission one is off as well?
yeah, so the only,
EAC.
so the only one you have then on Monday would be the alternate position, and
Actually, I think there's two
two.
for civil service.
for civil service
Yeah.
on Monday, because they expired in October.
And then the EAC, correct?
No, can't do them, they're after,
Do the EAC?
they're after our meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so
What is the civil service?
civil service.
Well,
Yeah.
there's two
There's two.
Yes.
The two alternate positions.
alternates, yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this? And I did go over, I mean, everyone did get our schedule, but I always go over them and also keep all the agendas when it's voted so that we do have the correct dates on them. So just so you know, we did double check on that. Is there, I don't think there's any unfinished business. No new business. Anything else, Scott, you want to add to this point?
I don't, but I think you wanted to bring up the.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be the first one then under the borough officials. It's been mentioned by a few people about doing something for Jim Gaffigan that recently passed away. Jim Gaffigan, of course, everyone knows, has done our statue downtown. He was a renowned sculptor that was lived here all his life in Morrisville. And he was on the board for Summerseat for many, many years. He contributed a lot to there and to the grounds around there. Besides all the many boards and associations he was with other committees. And he was someone that we all would like to remember. So it had been brought up about maybe doing a dedication for something in town for him. So I had spoke with Scott, and I mentioned it to a couple council, but I'll mention it tonight, that I think one of the nice areas that might be a good place to do that for Jim would be in Patriots Park, because he was so connected to Summerseat and so connected to that park area. I had a chance to speak with him this past summer before he passed away, and he was absolutely thrilled with that park. He loved it. He loved what was happening there. And I think it would be a befitting place to have him, a memorial somewhere there for him. The council can decide what that will be. There'll be walkways put in there and benches put in there, new tree lines put in there. But it was mentioned maybe do some kind of a special bench for him. Scott had mentioned one that was done, that he had ordered through his father for a marble one, which was kind of neat, just an idea. But maybe have a seating area that can have a plaque or some memorial put there for him. In part of the park plan, there was some statues, small statues, historical ones that were going to be put there. One was going to be George Washington, one was Barclay. And it'd be nice if maybe do one miniature of Robert Morris and put that somewhere where a bench would be for Jim. But if it's something that the council would consider, I think that would be a good idea. If someone has another idea for him, but I think that would be a great place to do it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay? Yeah. So like I said, as the park's moving along, it's going to take a little bit. Right now, we were thrilled. Weather was good enough that they could break ground on the sidewalks. So that's been on the works, doing the other three sides. It looks really good. And at this point, then it's going to be the interior of the park will be the next phase to get done. But in those plans, it'd be nice if council considered where that seating area would be for Jim. And I'm sure that his beloved wife Doris and his family and his friends and all of us would be thrilled to be able to see something memorialized for him in that area. Jim would be glad. So thank you, everyone. Is there anyone else for the public officials?
If I may, just to follow up on the Red Bridge, I think we'll have that completed this weekend. The wood portion of it, I have an email out with Kurt Schroeder, our engineer, to inspect. I also would mention, since you mentioned Patriots Park, NJS, they were the winning bidder for the sidewalks and curbs over there, I believe. They've also generously agreed to donate up to 10 yards of concrete for us on that project for ramps on the approaches to the bridge and everything. So that was very nice of them.
Nice.
So I also wanted to mention that there is some of the wood on the bridge that is still drying, and I mean that internally because it's fresh cut. So if you see some wood that's natural color, the only thing that's going to remain natural is the deck. Everything else will be painted red as it was and restored. We did raise the deck height, the railing height, to 54 inches to accommodate mountain bikes. So it's a little higher than what you're used to. I think code calls for 48 inches above deck for pedestrian and 54 for mountain bikes. So we went up to the mountain bike level, and I think the MVP player on this bridge construction is Josh Gradwall. He was also a canal tender. He has put in countless hours, and he's really quite skilled. If you get a chance to look at the new upright posts, he even went to the trouble to bevel the tops of the posts. So he put in extra effort. But this is definitely a 50-year bridge. So I'm very pleased with how that's going, and I just want to update everybody on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have any officials? Okay, then I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We are at 8:25. I'm sorry. 7:25, I'm sorry.
8:25.